I wanted to talk about the advisory warrant articles just in general, which is why I didn't get up to speak last time. And I want to tag on Mr. Farrell's, Council Farrell's comment about those advisories have no obligation for you to act. You know that. The big difference in my 44 years in town, 45 years now, the difference on this one was there was no chance for public hearings or people to understand what they were. There was no chance for advertising about what it was, how it worked, why it was there, how it was there. There was no conversation about it at all. And the reason why I'm here is because Councilor Coombs last meeting made a comment about people didn't know what they were voting for. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, and I told this account at a planning board meeting several meetings ago, where I met a gentleman at the post office who asked me why there was no public comment at a planning board meeting. And I explained to him that there was, explained to him how it worked. He asked me about the rest of them. Now, unfortunately, this was several months after voting had already taken place. His comment was, well, if I had known that, I might have voted differently. On some of them, I definitely would have voted differently. And so on this one, I think it's important to understand that the voters, in this case, they were the advisors, because this thing was advisory. So the voters were the advisors. They're not the decision makers. You are the decision makers. And I think it's important to understand that the votes, if you gave it to a statistics person, if you gave it to a person who does surveys, they would probably tell you, and I've asked a few, and they would probably tell you, because they told me, that what you had was information that wasn't valid because of the way that it was done. And when I asked questions further, part of it came about by the fact that there was no conversations before the vote. And we know for a fact, many of the people that voted, some knew for sure what was going on, but many that voted did not know what was going on. And so the information that you have, well, 1,900 people voted yes, and so you need to follow the will of the people, is not true. Because in this case, it was advisory, and the advisors are not the decision makers. Certainly, you're doing the right thing by having these forums now to talk about them, and apparently no one wanted to talk about the one tonight because it may or may not be legal. But please keep that in mind and understand that the will of the voters and the will of the taxpayers and the will of the citizens of Londonderry may or may not have been shown in those advisory votes. Thank you for listening.